and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And we're starting to make some Christmas cards now, and I'm showing you various different ways of making cards using the Peaceful Deer. Lovely stamp set. There is a coordinating punch, so you can get it as a bundle or you can get the stamp set on its own. It has lovely tree images, it has deers, the punch will punch out both of those deers, and you've got sentiments that will cover all of the season, as it were. So Merry Christmas, let's celebrate, sending love and peace this season. It's the best time of the year, wishing you a wonderful year, and friendships dear, which is a pun on the word dear. You can find it in the mini catalogue, which is the autumn winter catalogue, and it is on page 26. And the actual the stamp set, which is called, yes, the stamp set is £20. So you can get all of that for £20. You can get the punch for £17. If you get them both together, you get a 10% discount. So it's £33.25. I think that that's a really good price point. Particularly £20 for that stamp set is brilliant. We're also going to be using something which is a returning favourite on page 32, brushed metallic 12 by 12 cardstock, and you get 6 single-sided sheets, 2 each of 3 colours, which is bronze, copper and gold, and I just think they're just absolutely lovely. So I am going to be using today the stamp set. We are going to be using a piece of Merry Merlot this time. So you could use cherry cobbler if you've got cherry cobbler. I like Merry Merlot because it's a sort of more of a winey. Merlot obviously is a red wine, a winey colour, and it's beautiful for Christmas because it's not quite as red as cherry cobbler. Then what I've done is my standard piece that I have to go inside, so wherever you are, I always cut it 1/4 inch smaller. And what I've done is I cut this piece in half across the landscape side, so you can make 2 cards out of one piece. And this is obviously the width of your card, and the height, literally half a piece. So I'm not going to give you the exact measurements because each country does things differently, and if you wanted to build size it up, size it down, do it square, landscape, rectangular, the new long postcard ones, you can do, just cut your measurements like that. So we're going to have a piece of that which is going to go down in the middle with your 1/4 inch border. And then from the brushed metallics, I've taken 2 pieces of the gold and I've cut those. They've turned out to be just over 1/2 inch. So they're actually, yes, just over 1/2 inch. But again, doesn't need to be exact. It just happened to be that was the strip that I had. I've cut that exactly the same as my white cardstock, so it'll give a 1/4 inch border, and we're going to have a piece of that at the top and a piece of that at the bottom. Okay, it's not in the right position at the moment, but that's how we're starting it. Okay, and we are going to be working on this panel piece first of all. And we're taking the trees. Now I'm taking the second largest trees down, the group of 3, and I'm taking the pair. So there's a group of 3 and there's a group of 2, which are the same sort of size. I'm taking both of those. I don't know whether I'll use the 2. We'll have to see. And with this strip, I'm going to take, I need to have my embossing buddy first of all. Now, we've stopped doing the embossing buddy, which I think is a crying shame, but you can take all sorts of things. You put very fine corn flour is the finest thing that you can get. So if you put corn flour in a little Hessian bag, you can use that. I've had my embossing buddy for many years and it's not going anywhere, because you do need to make sure that you've got all of your fingers, any residue, anything on there that might stop you being able to emboss. And you need Versamark. Versamark is a watermark stamp pad, but it's perfect. It has sort of stickiness in it, and you get a little bottle of Versamark refill, and you literally just put that on there and it keeps it nice and sticky. So you want it fairly sticky. So we're going to take this one and we are going to stamp it, make sure that it's nicely coated, and then we are going to work down the image. Now it's just about the right size, so you might find that it's you need to sort of take it, you could take a pokey tool or something to hold it. I'm sort of reasonably happy. You can't see this at all. I can hardly see it under my lights, but what I'm doing is I'm working my way down, and I'm not going to use the other one. I'm just going to use this 1-3 stamp, and I'm just going to literally work my way all the way down, and I'm going to take it just off the edge on that side, which means I need to take it just off the edge on the other side. Okay, so we now have it covered in our Versamark. And what we need to do now is, you can use a pot. I tend to just use a piece of copy paper folded in half. I'm going to very carefully slide this. It's going to be off camera so I can pick it up. And I'm just going to put it inside this so it catches all of the residue. Then we're going to take some gold embossing powder. We do our embossing powders now in, you can't buy them singly, you buy them in sets of 3, I think. But as I say, you can get gold embossing powder anywhere. I think most of you probably have gold embossing powder. So again, I'm just going to very carefully pick it up in the corner, because I don't want it to go everywhere, and I'm just going to take it the other way. I'm being very careful not to get my fingers on it, and I'm going to give it a tap because we want quite a bit of it off, like that. That looks about right. And then with this that's over, if you folded your paper in half, you can then give it a little makes it a little funnel. There are all sorts of tools and things on the market, but this is the way I do it, because you really don't use very much embossing powder at all. And by just tapping it through, you take all of your excess powder, and then you can just put the lid on out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to take this as well to just give me a little bit of a guidance in on here, and then I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to heat my heat tool up a bit off camera so that it doesn't make too much of a noise. It will make a bit of a noise, but it won't be as much of a noise with it being slightly off of camera. If you heat it up first, it then means that the embossing will go a little bit quicker. So we want to try and heat it up as much as we can first before we put it on. Okay, so I'm just making sure it's heated, and you can then I tend to take a pair of scissors or anything to hold it down, and then you're going to start on one end, and you can start to see it change colour. I've always found this part absolutely magical, because it literally, from a sort of a beigey coloured powder, it literally just turns into beautiful gold. So just work your way down. Try not to waft it about too much. You can see I'm going quite slowly, and then I'm just making sure I've got the bit at the bottom done. And you can see that that's all, turn it off, you can see that that has all done. Now our embossing, our heat gun is actually really good because it has two settings. So it has a fast setting for being able to emboss like this, but it also has a slower setting which is great for drying things, and a little handy stand that you can put it up. So if you haven't got an embossing tool, I'd recommend getting that one. I've had mine for several years. You know, it's one of those things, once you've bought it, it's there. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a wobble on here now, but that's given you your beautiful, and I hope you can see how much of a gold shimmer we've got on this. So this is going to go, let's get our pieces back in. Okay, so we're going to put this as our panel piece down through on here, and we're going to put these pieces up either side. Okay, so what I need to do first of all is to glue this down and get this as centered as I can. Now, you will find that it will warp just a little tiny bit because it's quite long, but your glue, and as you know, I always use Tombow, which is a wet glue, that will stick down quite nicely. So I'm just making sure that I've got quite a bit of Tombow right the way around my edges, and then down on the center as well this time, because I want to make sure that it's stuck well because it's a panel that's been embossed. Okay, so we're going to take this and we want to try and get it in the center as much as we can. Now you can use your grid paper, but you want to try and get it so that it is as near to the center. I tend to eyeball everything, but you know, that's just me. So I'm just going to make sure that that's as near to the center as I can, and then we're going to glue that down. Now again, if you find that little pieces sticking up, turn it over on the other side and give it a good rub down. You can use your stamp and seal, you can use tear and tape, you can use whatever glue you want. This is my favorite. Okay, so that's stuck down nicely. And then we're going to put our two little panel pieces on. So these again, I'm just going to do with my wet glue, which, as I say, is my absolute favorite. I use my stamp and seal when I'm doing ribbon, because I find that that sticks that on quite nicely. Okay, so this is going to butt right up against the edge, so make sure you've got your corners nicely done. Put that way. I'm going to turn it round the other way because I find it easier working one way to the other. So again, just taking your wet glue and then take that down through on the center. And then we're going to put this piece exactly the same. Make sure that you've got it right in on the corner. Butt it up tightly. And then we can put that down like that. Okay, so you've now got your beautiful panel with the gold in there. And all we need to do now is to do a sentiment. Now, I could do the sentiment in gold and emboss it, but I'm actually going to do the sentiment in the Merry Merlot, because I think that that will just balance it nicely. And I'm going to be very traditional and just have Merry Christmas. So I'm going to put that in on a little block like this. Oh, I don't even know if I cleaned it out from last time. I don't think I did. I think I've got some green on it from before. Let me just take definitely haven't cleaned that. Let me get my Simply chamois. I try and do a few videos at a time, so I'm doing a you'll see them on different days, but I'm doing a little sort of series using this Peaceful Deer, and then I'll go on to use some of the others, because I like to be able to show that, you know, whatever stamp set you buy, you can use it. I've done most of them for any time of the year. Now we're on to doing Christmas cards. Again, you want to be able to use it a lot. So, right, let's ink this up. So that's the Merry Christmas, and I just need to get a little piece of scrapping on here. Put the Merry Christmas down, and as I say, I don't want to do it in gold because I think that will be a little too much. I am using my punch, which I will never get rid of. It's one of the things that I use all the time because it's perfect for smaller sentiments, which is what we want. So I'm just lining that up and stamping that out, because then you get a nice little sort of label on it. And I'm going to put that down in on the bottom. Let me just close this up. Excuse me, a little tickle in my throat. And I could put it up with a dimensional, but again, when you are posting things and you want to keep your postage fairly frugal, then don't put too many layers on your card, depending which country you are. Some countries I don't think it matters too much. In the UK it's quite restrictive. So I'm then going to just put this, and I want this down on that corner, just in on the centre of there, just like that. Okay, so that's just going to go in. I want to make sure that I'm not smudging my, because it's only just dried. But that gives you, as I say, a very simple, classic looking card. Put it onto a white base. Let me see if I've got any white bases about so we can see it finished. Right, I've got a base like that, so you can then put it in just rather nicely onto a white base, or you could do it in you know, any colours that you want to do, whatever base you want to do it. But it makes, again, a fairly simple card just with a panel of beautiful embossing. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.